Welcome back to the channel, everybody. If you're new to the channel, thanks for stopping by. I have something really good for you guys today. An old account from 1871 in Oregon. Now this account was sent in to me by channel friend and viewer D.A. Owens. D.A. Owens sent in his own encounter that I made a video on, and I'll leave that in the description. Before we get into this account, I'm going to go ahead and take you to the location, and then we will get into the account. Let's do it. Alright, so where we're going today is Star Mountain in Curry County, Oregon. This is a very special place. There are a lot of encounters that happen right here on this river, right here by this mountain. I've made previous videos about this area, and I'll leave those in the description, but I wanted to go ahead and show you guys the area really quick. And I'm going to go ahead and show you a different kind of map, a topo map that has the mines and a little bit of detail as far as like where they list these creeks and these gulches and things like that. So let me go ahead and show you that. Alright, so you guys can see the topo map here. It's a lot better as far as detail, and you guys can see the things they talk about in the story here. On the left there you see Butcher Gulch. They're going to talk about that. They're also going to talk about obviously Star Mountain there with the purple pin. The green number 2, I don't know what that is. That's from the map, so just ignore that. But you could also see mines here. The pink pins with the miner picks across the room, those are mines. And right below to the south of Star Mountain, there's the Blue Jay mine. In my opinion, it's either the Blue Jay mine or the one just east right there. One of those two mines, in my opinion, is the one from the story. Alright, I just wanted you guys to see this map right here, so when I show you the other map, you guys can see what I'm talking about as far as the story goes. Alright, let's do it. Nugget Tom was a prospector. He had a small claim up in Star Gulch near the headwaters of the Sixtus River in Curry County, Oregon. For a long time he had been wondering if there was a ledge above his claim that all the placer gold had come from. If there was, and he could find it, he would be a rich man indeed. The only drawback that presented itself was age. Nugget Tom was getting a little long in the tooth from age, and mountain climbing in one of the wildest and steepest mountain areas in Oregon was a chore, and he wasn't sure if he was up to it. Nevertheless, late in the fall of 1871, he decided he had to know. Tom packed his gold pan, pick, shovel, and enough food for a week, and made his way slowly up Star Mountain, at the head of Star Gulch. It was a long and hard job. He hammered and pecked at each favorable-looking outcropping. That evening found him high on a lonely mountainside, where he made a dry camp. The next morning dawned bright and clear, but Nugget Tom didn't feel quite right. He wasn't tired. He had slept well as he always did in the mountains, but he didn't feel quite right. He had an uneasy feeling that someone or something was watching him. He kept on hammering and pecking along, but every so often he would whirl around to see if anybody was behind him. He would carefully eye the bushes and other areas of concealment, but he never saw anyone. Tom laughed and shook his head. He must be getting spooky. He climbed for a spell and started hammering again. Then his hammer knocked off a piece of quartz that took his breath away. It was rich with free gold. He knocked off several more pieces and stowed them in his pack sack. He felt great. He had hit it. He raised his arms in the air and yelled, and then suddenly whirled around and looked behind him. The feeling wouldn't go away. He continued to look carefully all around him as he made his way back down the mountain to his cabin. Tom took a break on a ledge and sat for a spell. He told himself there was no one around, but knowing that he had made a strike only made the feeling stronger. Suddenly, he was on his way over the ledge and into the gulch below. The next day, a searching party found him. He had been broken up pretty good and was laying at the foot of the gulch, but he was still alive. They carried him back to his cabin and patched him up as the best they could. One of the search party noticed a lump in Tom's jacket and reached in and pulled out the richest piece of gold quartz that he had ever come across. Tom was still unconscious and could not tell them anything. 2 of the boys went back to the cliff where they had found Tom and picked up his pick, pan, and shovel. His backpack had opened up, and when he had hit the ground, the rich pieces of quartz Tom had collected were strewn over the area. The 2 men gathered up the samples and headed back to the cabin. They wanted to talk to Tom and learn where he had gotten the gold quartz. Then they could stake their own claim, but Tom was still unconscious. Many days later, Nugget Tom finally opened his eyes and looked around. He couldn't get up. It looked like he would be down for quite a spell. He spent many weeks recovering and thinking about the day on the mountain. He knew he hadn't slipped and fell. He knew someone or something had pushed him over the ledge, but he couldn't recall anything beyond that. Tom rested up all winter, and next spring he sneaked away from his cabin with his pack, pick, pan, and this time there was a gun. He would be more alert this time and would use the gun if he had to. It had been 6 months since his fall, and this time he did not have the uneasy feeling. But maybe the fall was responsible for that because it had also erased his memory of where he had made his strike. Try as he might, he could not find that ledge. Tom was 76 years old and getting more feeble every day, but he wouldn't give up his search. He kept looking for 4 more years until he turned 80. Then he quit and left the country. In 1899, 20 years later, in the spring of the year, 2 prospectors by the name of Will Robbins and Charles Benson decided to make an all-out effort to find the lost mine of Nugget Tom. They outfitted for a long stay in the mountains and started from the head of Star Gulch. They started up Star Mountain. They studied the mountain for any indication and finally found a small trace that led them up a little stream bed to the source of the spring. A small spring that went dry in the summer. There was plenty of water in it now, though. On the ledge above the spring they hit gold, but they knew from where they were at that it was not the mine of Nugget Tom. They worked the claim and carried the crushed rock down to the stream and panned the gold. It was a rich find. They worked until noon and broke off for lunch. They fried their bacon and pancakes over a little fire and laughed and congratulated each other on their find. After lunch, they went back to work when Benson got an uneasy feeling that something was watching him. He whirled around and froze in his tracks. He tried to pull his gun, but his hand wouldn't move. He watched something throw all their camping equipment over the cliff. It was neither man nor beast. It was big and powerful and stood erect. There was a dull yellowish hair all over its body. It ran as soon as they were finally able to get their guns working. They got several good shots off, but the bullets did not seem to have any immediate effect on the creature, and the wild man disappeared in the brush. The 2 prospectors named their claim the Wild Man Claim and sold it soon after. The buyers never came to work it even though there was rich rock showing. The mine was abandoned probably because of the Wild Man episodes, which made all the miners more fearful because of the series of unexplained deaths that took place a couple years after Nugget Tom had left the country. 4 men had been killed on Huckleberry Knoll above Bear Pen Flats. Their names were Johnson, McLean, Madigan, and Jensen. The deaths of these 4 men occurred over a period of time, and exactly what caused their death was never determined. It appeared they had fallen off a ledge, but no one believed that these experienced men had carelessly fallen. There had always been a legend among the Indians about the lost devils that inhabited the area. The Indians called them Swallahallist and said they lived in the upper reaches of the Sixes River. They were so bad that no Indians would go into the country for fear that they would be killed. The Swallahallist were described by the miners that saw them as standing well over 8.5 feet tall. They estimated their weight at 600 to 800 pounds. They had massive jaws, powerful shoulders and torsos, and their bodies were covered with a short coat of hair. Their teeth were cat-like, and their eyes bulged and were black, and seemed to burn right through a man. They could run and jump with the speed of a deer. Is it possible that one of these creatures pushed Tom off the ledge? Tom was never positive and never saw what shoved him. Robbins and Benson, however, never forgot the thing they saw and shot at. Their description was very precise. 10 years later, one morning, just at daybreak, a man named Doc Elgin was heading from his camp to get some water. It was August, and the sun was just starting to come up over Rusty Butte. As Doc approached the stream, he couldn't believe his eyes. There, standing at the water's edge, was a creature the likes of which he had never encountered. The thing bounded away immediately. Doc measured the tracks. They were 17 inches long and a full 8 inches across. The wild man stories have probably helped to keep many miners from the area, but wild man or not, Nugget Tom's lost mine still awaits the man willing to take his chances with the Swallowhallist, the devils of Star Mountain. All you have to do is travel up the Sixes River until you come to the South Fork. Follow that South Fork through Hell's Gate and past Butcher's Creek and Bearpen Flat. That will just about take you to Star Gulch. From there, you are on your own. You best look over your shoulder now and then if you want to spend all that gold. Other stories came out of the region of Curry and Coos starting in 1846 through the 1940s about giant man-like animals called Sasquatch. They had killed 3 miners in the Chetco River region in 1877. These giant animals were said to be very hostile towards humans, killing untold number of men over a period of 100 years. Iron Mountain Jim was found at his cabin dead in 1913. It was said the Sasquatch had ripped his cabin apart and killed him sometime around October of 1913. Very large man-like tracks were discovered all around his cabin when he was discovered dead. It was said old Jim shot at these wild beasts on several occasions and even had bragged about killing one in 1909 near Agnes Pass. He often told stories to the loggers that were invading the area for timber. Records show the Coos Bay Lumber Company has trouble with the giant man-like animals over the period of 3 years in the Johnson Mountain area. Also, 2 more reports from the lumber company in the China Flats area where 2 loggers went missing and were never heard from again. Alright, so there you have it. What do you guys think about that one? Those old time accounts, to me, I love them. I can't get enough of these ones right here. Hope you guys enjoyed this one as much as I did. If you guys liked it, make sure you hit that like button. If you're new to the channel, go ahead and subscribe. I need to give a special thanks to a few people here. I've had 4 super thanks on my last video, and I really do want to say thank you so much. So thank you very much, Dreamtime Relaxation, Tim Weaver, Maxwell Madison, and Danny1386. I really do appreciate that, guys. Thanks so much. So if you guys have an encounter out there you guys want to see me make a video on, especially an old one like this, make sure you send it to me at Willstarbigfoot@AOL.com. Alright, that's where we're going to leave this one. Always remember, where there is a Willstar, there is definitely a way. Willstar out.